Hey guys, it's Brie. So I went onto my Instagram earlier on today and I just posted a question on what you guys would like to see. Thinking I would probably do a Q&A video because I'm due to go to Dubai on Thursday, which means there won't be a video this Friday, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry about that, but it's my first proper holiday. Even though Christmas has just gone, at Christmas time we had a surge of orders at Precious Stars, my cloth pad website. I always have it linked down below. And as a result, I was going through emails constantly, so I didn't really have that much of a holiday there, even though I had a break from filming. So I probably will have a nice break in Dubai, but who knows, maybe I'll film a vlog of the way out there and put that up here. I don't know yet. I'll see about it. But anyway, I just thought I'd let you know here. And I went onto my Instagram because I have so much to do, like packing and lots of things to sort out before then, so I thought I'd do a Q&A. But one of the questions was actually a really good question. I felt I would be able to answer it right now, and that is what to do if you get your period in an emergency. So in other words, what to do if you get caught off guard and you get your period and you haven't got anything with you. Well, the first answer to this is it's always a good idea to kind of think in advance of this situation possibly happening, because it can happen to any of us, and I'm sure most of us have all been through it, when you're just caught completely off guard by your period starting. If you travel a lot, it's quite common for your period to get disrupted, so I should definitely take some stuff with me to Dubai. And yeah, it's just a good idea to make sure you have a spare pad. If you are like me and you use cloth pads and menstrual cups as opposed to disposable pads and tampons, if you have any old pads like these, it's a good idea to just put one into your handbag or into any of your smaller bags that you carry with you, just in case something happens. You might have a jacket that you wear all the time, sorry, that's a train, that you might have a jacket you wear all the time and it has an inside pocket. You could zip it in there just in case something happens and you're just out with your jacket and your phone in your pocket and you get your period, then you'll have a pad there. But they're quite good and they're quite slim, so you could just, you know, keep a couple, maybe donate the rest to a women's homeless shelter and just keep a couple in a pocket or in your bag. That way you will at least have a pad or a tampon if you do get caught unaware. But say, for example, you are out and about and you have nothing, absolutely nothing at all. So my first thing would be, if you are, I know there's a lot of teenagers who watch this, if you are of school age and you are at school when this happens, you can go to your school office or wherever it would be, you would go, your nurse or whatever. I went to quite a small school, so it would be the office, and you can ask them for a pad or a tampon. They should at least have pads. Every school, I'm pretty sure, is required to have some form of pads there, and because especially if it's a girl, the school has girls, which it will be if they have you there, they should have pads on hand. If you are too nervous to do this, do still go. I mean, if you're too nervous to ask a friend, which you could also do if you don't want to go to the office but feel more comfortable asking your friends, then you could ask them for a pad. If you're too nervous about that though, and you really do need a pad, I would suggest making a note and writing it down saying, "Hi, could I please have a pad? I've started my period," and folding it up and giving it to one of your office staff, and they should read it and then discreetly give you a pad. So you don't have to say it out loud if you're worried about the office being really busy, or reception, or wherever it is you go, being really busy. But there should be a place that you would know of at school or at college or wherever it is you are that should have pads available. Some public places will have a dispenser in the bathroom for pads or tampons, so you might be able to get some there. If you've got no cash, however, that will be a problem, but you could ask another woman who's in the bathroom if they could lend you a pad or if they had some money to buy one. That's the other thing you can do, is ask fellow women, because we've all been there, and the truth is we're horribly embarrassed to ask because of the social taboo that menstruation is shameful and yada yada yada. I'd say I've got over that a long time ago. I will just go up and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I've got a period, have you got a pad I could borrow?" Or use, rather. Borrow is probably not the best word to use in that situation. It's quite a weird one that we use that. But you can ask them for a pad or a tampon, and if they don't have it, they're not going to laugh at you. The chances of that happening are very, very slim, because we're all in the same situation, and half the time we're nervous about it if we have to ask. But if a woman came up to me, for example, and asked me for one, I wouldn't feel the slightest bit embarrassed. I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, you know, we've all been there. You know, it doesn't embarrass me," but we always think the other way around, that they're going to be like awkward about it or something. It's just a worry that we have, as I said before, because of the social taboo. But do try and ask, because that way you should be able to get hold of some sort of form of protection until you can find access to buying some from a store or something. Maybe, you never know, wherever you are that you think you'll be able to get access to something, that would be good. The other thing you can do is, if you are trying to avoid the chemical pads, or if you actually have access more to like a flannel, is fold a flannel into a trifold. So if you've got a little square flannel here, just fold it into 3 and then place that in your underwear as sort of like a pad. It won't be able to hold very much because it's got no waterproof backing on it, but it will work for probably about an hour, depending on how heavy you are, of course, and whether you start off heavy or light. It will depend on how much absorbency you need to start with. it should absorb for at least a little while so you can go and get some protection from somewhere else. The other thing I wanted to show you guys is some underwear. This is just one of my, I think, Jack Wills underwear, and some of them have like a little pockety thing in them. This is the gusset. Some underwear has this bit sewn down so you won't have access to it. Most of my underwear is sewn down, but I remember that this one had a gap. So for this, for example, you could use some toilet roll and stuff it inside of your underwear here, and then roll some up and put it in the center of your underwear. If you've got no other protection, no pads, there's no women around the bathroom, or you've asked people and they haven't got any, or you're just really too shy. I would encourage you guys though to ask if you can, but I can understand some of you might just be too shy about it. Roll some toilet roll up and place it in the center, or more towards the front or to the back if you know where you bleed. That should help absorb it. You will need to keep changing this quite frequently, so it will only be a temporary measure, especially if you've got a heavy period, but it should at least stave off any leaks, and that's what you're trying to do, obviously. It is a good idea if you're carrying around an emergency pad to also carry around a spare pair of underwear. Could just be an old pair that you want for an emergency and that you wouldn't mind leaking onto. But I can understand that you might not necessarily carry around in a smaller bag, because it does get quite bulky if you've got underwear and pads and all sorts, because ideally you want to carry around a few instead of just one, because that's not going to last you for a while, especially if you're heavy, like I said before. But it's just a good tip to remember that if you have got underwear with that gusset gap in it, then you can stuff that with some absorbency as well. I'm quite fortunate that I tend to bleed directly in the center or more towards the back, so I can place quite a big wad of toilet roll here and it will push up against my vagina and stop me from leaking backwards. I only tend to drip to the back if I'm kind of leaning backwards. If I make sure I'm sitting upright, then I should be fine, like you would be in a classroom, for example, or if you're working. I think those are the main points for if you are in an emergency. The basics are, try and make sure that you carry an emergency kit with you, whether it is just one pad or one tampon, or a couple of them and a spare pair of underwear. It really depends on like how much you want to carry with you. I have heard recommended that, I've heard some people recommend that you carry a spare pair of underwear, a wet wipe, like an intimate wipe so you can clean yourself up, and a couple of pads, and if you use tampons, tampon, or a couple of cloth pads and a menstrual cup maybe, and they could be in your emergency kit depending on what you use. But if you haven't got anything, first of all, ask, because someone will almost certainly have some form of protection, whether it's a pad or a tampon or whatever it is. If you are in a public bathroom or at work, somebody is bound to have something, and if you're at school, your school office should have access to it. And like I said before, if you're a bit nervous, and this would apply in the workplace as well actually, if you're a bit nervous to ask the question about have they got a menstrual protection, you can just write it down and hand it to them, and they'll probably just smile at you and give it to you, but kindly smile. And if you're at school and you should get teased by someone because you asked them, this is very unlikely, I must say, and it never happened to me. If you should ask someone have they got a pad or a tampon, chances are they'll go, oh no, I'm sorry, I haven't. But if they should go no and make some sort of snarky remark about it, like, oh, she's on her period, this is probably more likely to happen at the younger end of the scale when people haven't got their periods. All you do is just go, yeah, I'm a normal human being, a normal menstruating woman who's got a period, big deal. And that sort of reaction just really, you know, makes the other person who's trying to tease you uncomfortable, because you're making them feel like an idiot. It's a very good tactic in this sort of situation. Actually, it can apply to any age group, because you never know who can be immature about this. But I really hope these things helped you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any tips, feel free to leave them down below from your own experiences, or anything else you found it would work. Please leave them there in case anyone else wants some advice. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.